With reports showing that the Giants are willing to trade up for the number one overall pick, and it's looking very likely, they're only trading up for one particular player in this draft. And if you don't know who that is, we're talking about Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward seems to be the QB1 of this NFL draft class. And for a while, for the last couple months, everyone's been saying how weak of a quarterback draft class this really is. Well, after leaving the combine this past week, everyone is going on record that everyone thinks Cam Ward is the number one quarterback in this class. But not only the number one quarterback, he's the number one quarterback by a mile. Everyone's speaking on how the gap between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders is a bigger gap than Shedeur Sanders and the other quarterbacks in this draft class, which happen to be a Jalen Milroe, a Quinn Ewers, other quarterbacks in that nature, a Jackson Dart. Cam Ward seems to be the head and shoulders above candidate as a quarterback one in this class. And for Giants fans, a lot of people are excited to possibly get Cam Ward, and some people are on the back burner about trading up for the number one overall pick. Now, why is this even a topic? How are we even here? And at this moment, the Giants do not have the number one overall pick. But I do expect something to shake down in the next couple of days because free agency does begin next Monday, March 12th. And that's where you're going to really see dominoes begin to fall. And that's when the Giants, if they should be interested in Cam Ward, probably going to be interested in getting that number one overall pick. The Titans are currently the team that own the number one overall pick, and Mike Bergonzi has gone on record speaking on the generational players in this draft class. Now, once again, a lot of people have spoken on the quarterbacks. Nobody feels like the quarterbacks are a generational talent in this draft. They're only thinking about Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. And in their own right, Travis Carter and Abdul Carter are crazy generational players, in my opinion. I think Travis Hunter is going to translate well. Abdul Carter is a beast, and a lot of people are saying that Abdul Carter is the best player in the draft, period. So with the Titans being at the number one overall pick, and it seems like they're kind of in love with those two players, we're really going to see if they're really interested in trading out of that pick, trading back with the Giants, and sitting at 3 and taking one of those guys. And that's the main reason why the Titans have to be interested with the Giants. It's reported that apparently the Jets are interested and the Raiders are interested, trading up to 1 so they can get their quarterback and get their guy. But the Giants happen to be the number 3 overall pick, which is the best case scenario for a team like the Titans. But it also happens to be probably a worst case scenario for the Giants. Sitting at the number 3 overall pick and having only 2 quarterbacks that seem like the top 2 quarterbacks in this class, you could really stay at 3 and lose out on a chance to get a quarterback and not really walk away with a quarterback. As we know, the Giants did strike out with Matthew Stafford, and it looks like they put out a compelling offer to get that Rams deal done. They were willing to go to $55 million a year for Matthew Stafford, and also they met whatever picks the Rams wanted. The Giants met those standards. They met what was requested. It just so happened that Matthew Stafford did not want to go to the Giants, and I do not blame him. He'd rather stay in Los Angeles on that West Coast and still get paid that money and be on a team that's going to compete. That's what Matthew Stafford elected to do. But the Giants were trying very hard to get that done. I expect them to pivot and also get the number 1 pick done. If you're a Titans GM that's reportedly not in love with the quarterbacks that you want, I think the Giants offer has to be the offer that you take. It has to be the one that you're willing to go back 2 spots on. So quarterbacks go 1 and 2. One quarterback goes at 1, and maybe number 2 is not going to be taken by a quarterback by the Browns. You still happen to get Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. And I don't think that's a bad prize to walk away with. Now, that's what I spoke on for the Giants' sake for a very long time. But it's showing that the Giants are really reluctant to kind of not address this quarterback position. And yeah, there's some quarterbacks that are available free agency. You got Russell Wilson. You got Aaron Rodgers, who continues to be a topic. Justin Fields, potentially. You have quarterbacks out on the free agent market, but it's not going to solve the answer down the road. And some may say that Cam Ward's talent, his ceiling, can be higher than a couple of those guys that we'll bring in this next season. Now, whether or not Cam Ward starts off the season, whether he continues to, play a full rookie season, that remains to be unseen, and we'll see if that happens. But there's also been reports about the Giants still adding a guy like a Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers to have a veteran in the room to help groom that quarterback up, give him some time to develop, and then we'll throw him in there later. That seems like what the Giants want to do, and once again, I spoke on another video, man. Malik Neighbors was over here dropping those gems back when the Super Bowl was happening, saying that he wants a veteran quarterback on this team. I don't know if it's listened to Malik Neighbors' request or not, but it seems like they want to go that route. The Giants with Joe Shane know that they're on the hot seat. Brian Daboll knows that they're on the hot seat, and they got to make something work. If they're able to draft the number 1 quarterback in this class, and for some, it's not a strong quarterback class, but some say that Cam Ward is just as talented as the other quarterbacks that you've seen in other draft classes. Hey, Brian Daboll gets to work, and let's see if he can bring this guy to be a franchise quarterback for the Giants. I think when you look at it with the Giants taking him number 1 overall potentially, you haven't seen this in a long time if you're a Giants fan. It's not too often that the Giants land the number 1 overall pick and potentially take their quarterback for the future. Now, thinking about what the Giants are going to do to trade up, what can they do? It's been reported, and listen, I'm not no insider. I've seen from sources on Twitter, but as we know, there are some sources on Twitter that you have to trust and sources on Twitter that you can't. But it's being thrown around that Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be included in these draft trades. That's kind of crazy to me, but I'm also not against it. But it depends what else is being thrown in there. Now, Kayvon Thibodeau is a former number 5 overall pick. I mean, when you think about what he was supposed to be for the Giants, he was supposed to be a star, and he was supposed to be a number 1 pick at one point in his NFL draft. But he ended up sliding to 5. The Giants took him, and I think people are kind of underrating him a bit. I mean, granted, the sack numbers are not there, right? He was supposed to be as good as Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson clears him by a lot. Travon Walker probably clears him in terms of sack numbers. When we think about the impact that he's making, I do think it kind of goes underrated. This past season, he did get hurt, so you didn't get to see a full season of Kayvon Thibodeau, which is unfortunate because it's the first year he had Brian Burns on the other side. But I do think Kayvon Thibodeau has been pretty solid. But if I'm trading him for the number 1 overall pick, I'm not thinking twice about it. We know it's going to be a lot more valuable getting a quarterback 1 than having a Kayvon Thibodeau on this team. And hopefully it continues to pan out. Now, listen, the reports show that the Titans were asking for a round 1 this year, round 1 next year, another 3rd round pick, and Kayvon Thibodeau. That's ludicrous. But I'm pretty sure they know that the Giants are pretty desperate to get a quarterback. And they're just trying to, get whatever they can. They're trying to fleece Joe Shane. They're trying to fleece the Giants. And I'm not against it, right? Like, if a team is willing to get a quarterback like that, I would probably try to start the conversation there as well. But it's all reported, and it's all looking like the Giants are going to end up getting that number 1 overall pick. And who knows, man? I think we're going to get answers very soon. Because if you're a Titans team that wants to trade back and sit at 3 and take a different, obviously not take a quarterback, take a different player, you got to think about what you're going to do in free agency. By the time free agency looms around next Monday, the Titans can't have that number 1 overall pick, in my opinion. They got to make a decision. Are they going to go the veteran quarterback route? Are they going to want to go get a Sam Darnold, an Aaron Rodgers, a Russell Wilson? Do they want to explore that route? They kind of need to make that decision pretty soon because after free agency begins, you don't want to strike out on veteran quarterbacks and still not want to take a quarterback at number 1. Of course, they could stand pat and still take their player at Abdul Carter, but why not stack up picks while you're doing so? Stack up picks from the Giants and also get your quarterback 1. Some people might not love it for the Giants. We have so many holes. Why are we trading assets? Why are we trading, multiple players that we could have on this team? Listen, I want to let you know right now, if Cam Ward turns out to be the quarterback that everyone's speaking on and he turns out to be a hit, you're not worrying about the 3rd round pick or the 2nd round pick that we let go. And I'll be honest, I don't want to let go of this year's 2nd round pick. It better be next year's 2nd round pick because this year's 2nd round pick is almost as valuable as a 1st round pick. But whatever the Giants want to do, honestly, we know they're desperate. We know they want a quarterback. If they get it done and it's their guy that they want and they get to pick their guy, there's no more excuses. There's nothing that can go on the record and say the Giants shouldn't have done this. They never got their quarterback. Brian Daboll never got to work with his guy. You trade it to the number 1 overall pick. You get the quarterback you want. And once again, if he turns out to be a hit, we're not talking about what we traded to get up to the number 1 overall pick. We're not. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are gone. Unfortunately, the cycle will continue because when you think about what happened with Daniel Jones, he got drafted and then after year 1, his coach got fired. Though those are the type of unfortunate things that you hate to see, and the cycle continues, and that's why it was a big issue that the Giants brought back Joe Shane and Brian Daboll because I feel like the writing is on the wall that they will be let go. But Cam Ward, if he turns to be a hit, that could be something that saves their jobs. And whether or not I'm happy about it for their sake, for a Joe Shane or a Brian Daboll, I'm happy to have a competitive team in New York, led by a quarterback, led by a franchise quarterback. That's what I'm looking to see. Now, Cam Ward has a lot more than obviously the name to it. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I've spoken on Cam Ward a lot in this video, but we're going to have to break down the X's and O's in another video. If you guys want to get Cam Ward, let me know down in the comments, man, if you're willing to trade it to the number 1 overall pick. And Kayvon Thibodeau included in that, I need you guys to let me know how you're feeling on that. Listen, a lot of mock drafts came out saying the Giants are getting the number 1 pick. A lot of other reporters are saying that The Titans and the Giants deal is pretty much already set. They're kind of just working out the final details. We'll see what happens. Listen, maybe I shouldn't be talking about it at this moment, but we'll see what happens, man. I want you guys to let me know down in the comments, man. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.